Well, welcome to our final week. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. This is going to be a short video, much like last week was. I'm just basically here to tell you guys, remind you really what you need to do. A couple things, primarily, most obviously, of course, is the final essay on Othello. If you all want to send me, and I believe I put this to you last week. I don't think anyone's really taken me up on it, but if you want me to look over a thesis or a rough draft, anything at all before you commit to submitting your final draft on Sunday, the 6th, go ahead and do that. And do that sooner rather than later. Really, I'd say by Thursday would be the last acceptable day that I would allow for you all to submit rough material to me. Of course, I've given you a week to do this already. Last week, I'm pretty sure during the video I had said this. But again, no one's sent anything. But, you know, voluntary, it's certainly don't have to. I'm here to help if you need me, though. So that, your final essay due the Sunday, the 6th, and then Friday the 4th, this Friday, I have a discussion board put up. It's voluntary, optional. You don't have to do it. However, if you do choose to do it, you will be answering the forum prompt, if you will, which is, what have been your experiences researching for this essay? What are some of the articles you found? Have they been helpful? How is it navigating in Galileo? Have you been able to find things well suited to your topic and thesis? Are you struggling? Do you have words of encouragement and advice to your fellow students, your other classmates? So this is a forum for you all to do that, to have a space to kind of talk to each other, to kind of, encourage and maybe offer some constructive criticism here and there. And again, voluntary. So that means if you do choose to do it and you follow our typical protocol for discussion forums, giving your own original post, responding to at least one other post, you'll get full credit, 100. So that's a nice little boost in your grade column. If you choose not to do it, fine. You just won't get a grade. You won't get a 0. It just will be as though you haven't done the assignment, which will be the case if you choose not to. Totally fine. So I'm giving you the opportunity. No blog this week. So that effectively means that our last blog was not last week, but the week before. So no blog, because I'm trying to minimize the amount of things that I have to read and do and grade as everything's kind of coming to a head during this final week for us here with Sonoraville, GNTC, and the college where I teach here in St. Augustine as well. So the blogs, this is how I've decided to do it. Pretty easy. What I'm just going to do is for the 1101 half and the 1102 half, I'll count how many times you've participated in the blog in 1101, and each time you've participated, I'm probably going to wind up awarding you a point. So let's say you've participated, I don't know, 10 times throughout the blogs. 10 points. Okay? Now, what I'm going to try to do is award those points to your lowest scored, say a lowest scored paper. So a literary analysis, one of the essays in 1101 for the case of 1101, and 1102, one of the literary analysis essays. And I'm just going to kind of try to assess what assignment did you struggle on the most, major assignment. Then I'll allocate those points to that particular assignment. And depending on how many times you participated, maybe I could spread them among a couple of major assignments. So that's how I'll calculate that for the blog post. Also, I'm willing to excise, get rid of your 2 lowest scored class homework assignments from 1101 and 1102, only if it's going to make a really big difference. Like if your final grade is, let's say, a 90, thus far before getting rid of these assignments, your lowest scored assignments? And these lowest scored assignments are something like an 85. Well, getting rid of an 85 isn't really going to do much to change your 90. But let's say you got a 0. You screwed the pooch and forgot to do an assignment. Well, getting rid of the 0 in that case is going to make much more of an impact on your final grade. So I plan on doing that as well. So that is all designed to help you all. Of course, you guys have done pretty darn well 1101 and 1102 with the class homework assignments. The struggle or the challenges, as it should be, have leaned more towards the paper assignments, the essays. And those should be more challenging. The homework, the questions are really just designed to see that you have been engaged in what you've been reading. And if you followed the instructions and answered the questions faithfully, you should, a B or an A should be what you earn. Speaking about grading, though, let's talk about the assignment that I'm not quite finished grading. I'll probably finish them either Monday or Tuesday, or at some point in the week. Most of them are done, and I know this kind of goes over my 2-week time limit, but as we are at this point in the term, it's just kind of chaotic, and there's a lot to do, as you all know. There's a lot to do for us professors, teachers, instructors as well. A lot of reading, a lot of grading. So the Keats essays, Ode on a Grecian Urn, there's still some floating out there. So if you haven't gotten yours back, you'll get it back this week, absolutely. But about those, some of you have come back to me, emailed me, and you've been very respectful and mature. I appreciate that. Asking questions, hey, why did I receive the grade that I received? And of course, I've said to you all, if you have that issue, I welcome you to come to me about it and ask me, and we'll talk about it. So I've emailed most of you who have brought those concerns. I've emailed you back. I believe some of you have gotten back to me and we've completed our negotiation. Some others of you I don't think have. But let me be clear about something. Here's what I don't want to see this last week of class, given that we're all under the gun, we're all a little stressed, we've all got stuff to do. I don't want a flood of you, or really, ideally, any of you. That's a little harsh. I mean, not to say that none of you is allowed to email me, why did I get the grade that I got? But I'm not going to be super flexible. That rubric system, to me, is the best way to reflect how well you did. And I have it as a 5-point criteria. And I award you out of 20, and I'm pretty persnickety and fastidious, meticulous about the number that I award you for each of those points of criteria. It's not just like, nah, let's give them a 14 for MLA conventions and grammar, just 'cause, okay? Absolutely not. And by the way, a 14 is a 70. So if you got a 70C for MLA conventions grammar, that means that you did either the bare minimum for both or barely the bare minimum. I mean, a 70 is a low C. So if you have grammar errors, punctuation errors, if your in-text citations aren't correct, it could be a variety of things. So these numbers are meant to kind of cover a range of things. So for MLA conventions, in-text citations, your works cited page, is it formatted correctly? For supporting of your thesis, textual support, are you using the source, the poem? If you used research there, did you cite research? Of course, research wasn't required at all. But are you making a case? Are you substantiating your claims well enough? Some of you, and again, it is a difficult poem, some of you have issues articulating what you want to say. And look, writing is difficult. We know this. Writing is hard. It's hard to articulate precisely what you mean to say in writing. And folks, being 16, 17, 18, however old you guys are, you're still growing and developing. That muscle, that writing muscle is still growing and developing. So I'm not going to expect necessarily to read, Marcel Proust or Hemingway, or pick your well-renowned author, writing me this glittering package of a perfect essay. But some of you, again, I try to stress this often, read your work aloud, okay? Read your work aloud. Even if reading it on the screen, you might just kind of elide and pass over without notice some of the flubs you've committed. When you read it aloud, you'll be like, wait, and then that's why on the however, whatever you had said, you'll hear it, okay? Or get someone else to read it to you, and kind of have this dispassionate, objective evaluation of your essay as it's read back to you. Pretend it's not yours, okay? Because we're all biased towards our own work. We're all advocates for ourselves, of course. But before you send me anything, okay, look at what you've written in conjunction with the grade I've assigned you. Ask yourself, okay, he gave me a 13 out of 20 for MLA conventions. That's a 65. That must mean, that's a D, that must mean I have been significantly insufficient in that regard. How? Let me read my paper. Am I, in fact? That must mean I probably don't have a works cited page. My in-text citations aren't there, or if they are there, they're formatted and written very haphazardly and poorly. So again, I'm not a mad scientist with assigning these numbers. There's a, as far as I'm concerned, a very refined logic, a method to my madness, if you will. So just keep this in mind, guys. I don't just give you an A. Again, an A to me means great to excellent. Do you consider your writing great to excellent? Maybe you do, and maybe it is, okay? If you got a B, that typically indicates good to great. If you got a B, is your work good to great? C, is it average, passable, approaching maybe good or okay? D, almost unacceptable, okay? Severely lacking in the parameters and the instructions. You struck out. And then an F, you didn't show up at the ballpark. Okay. So, let's just keep all this in mind, guys. We're all under the gun. I want to give you all a rousing tailwind of encouragement, hoping that you round out this term well. I know you've all worked hard. It's been a trying semester, emotionally wrenching. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be with you all, doing these videos with you each and every week. I know I said the video would be short. It's going on a little longer than I expected, actually. But hey, it's the last video. We're not going to have one for grades week. Okay, this is it. So guys, it's been real. It's been a pleasure to have you all. I appreciate how thoughtful and how rigorous and how seriously you've treated everything. And thanks for your great writing. I look forward to a bang-up final essay on Othello. And guys, again, thanks so much for being great students. It's been a pleasure being your professor and working along with Miss Evans. It's been a blast. So folks, let's finish strong. See you later, and farewell. Bye-bye.